So I was talking about this in the last video, and I said, why not just talk about it while the iron is still hot? So I wrote it out, and it's like a topic. This, I am talking to HR professionals now, because I feel like continuing from my conversation the last time, I just felt, okay, why not just hit the ground running, talk about this, address it, and see how helpful it's going to be to the community, because I see us like a community, right? And what can fuel HR burnout? What can fuel burnout, especially for HR professionals? And there were 6 things that I listed at the time, and I'm just going to talk through them. The first one is actually workload or overload. And I know that I talked briefly about it, and I was like, it's high demands and low resources, so that a lack of time, employees, or equipment. So what I mean here is wanting to have to do a job, but when you don't have employees, or there's almost like not enough time in a day to actually get those things done, it can get to a point where you actually you're leaving that HR professional, or that employee in this case, which is the HR professional, feeling burnt out over time. So it's not like it's going to make you feel burnt out immediately, but over time, by the time you have to do a job as a HR professional, you need a team of 3, and it's just you, like you have me, for instance, doing something that you need a team of 3 people, and it gets to a point where you're overwhelmed. From being overwhelmed, you get burnt out and you're just exhausted about the job. I actually had a case like that where, but in my own case, I think a job that I had to handle, I had a team of 3 people who were, for want of a better word, did not see the big picture. I didn't want to say that they didn't know what they needed to do. They knew what they wanted to do. But I think working with Gen Z is very tricky these days, because you are there trying to make sure that they know what they need to do and do it at this right time. But sometimes there's this feeling of, oh, I don't need this job. I'm only doing this job because I want to feel fulfilled and say to myself that I was able to get a particular job done. But other than that, the other 2 persons in question were not exactly Gen Z. They were millennials, like a little bit older than me. So I found it problematic that I had 3 people in my team that just were not doing the work. They were not pulling their weight, and it just felt like each time I tried to address issues like that, oh my God, it felt like, moving the Rock of Gibraltar. Because at the end of the day, when I had to let them go, I let them know that, okay, we came here to do a job, right? If you knew that anytime you had difficulties or you had challenges getting this job done, all you had to do was let me know. But one of them was so lazy, guys, that he fueled my burnout at some point. Like, I couldn't take it any longer. And I took an executive decision to let him go. Of course, management came hard on me, like, oh, you should have made a case. I said, no, that's the thing. Making a case for him is like elongating his stay. I needed to get this job done, and I didn't need somebody who was going to be drawing back the whole team. Considering I felt, okay, this person has had a longer work experience and should know better. Another thing is control, autonomy. A feeling of having no control over the job. Yes, I felt that way at some point right before this break that I had to take. I felt like someone else was coming to do my job, and it just felt like every other time you are being made to feel like you don't know what your job entails and what you need to do at every point in time. And yeah, it got to me, not because I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I felt like I was letting the job get away from me. And maybe because I did not have a lot of help at the time, it just made me feel like I didn't have a control on what I was doing, on my JD, and all that. So it kind of fueled this burnout that I was talking about. And over now, I now that I know, I'm taking steps to say, okay, this is how I'm going to make sure that at every point in time, at the risk of sounding too in control or too much of a freak, someone who loves work too much, this is what I'm going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again. The third one is feedback. Oh my God. If you are waiting for management to tell you thank you for a job well done, as a HR professional, it's been 84 years. you're going to wait for eternity. We are almost like teachers. Between us and teachers, I don't know who is going to get his reward in heaven faster, because for some reason there's this natural assumption that, oh, HR should know what to do, they should get the things going, they should just make sure that things are running properly, running smoothly. And when they are, nobody gets to say, oh, by the way, you were very helpful in making sure this thing worked well. How about a thank you? So over time, when you feel like you're giving so much and you're not getting feedback to know if you're even doing a fantastic job or not, it gets to you and it can fuel burnout. The fourth one is workplace community. Were you hoping that employees will have your back? They see you as the public enemy number one. They see you as this person who doesn't understand their needs, who doesn't understand their wants, who don't understand why they need that mental health break. And you really think they're going to support you when you come and tell them, oh, actually, I need your help in doing your job better, because it comes down to the bottom line of the organization and all that jazz you try to tell them. It doesn't mean you should now be disheartened or feel discouraged to do your job. You should still do your job, but I know that over time, it gets to a point where you feel like you are alone. You cannot discuss your work so much with employees because employees talk a lot. So it's not like you're keeping them in suspense, but it's a very lonely position to be in as a HR professional. So you find yourself not having a lot of friends, or even when you have friends, you also have to be careful so you're not seen as management to be too friendly with employees, and they think that, okay, certain confidential information that should not be made known to staff are already in the hands of staff. But we get what I'm saying. The fifth one is actually about standards not being applied. Yes, I see this quite a bit, a lot with certain organization. I even saw it in certain organization I worked at some point, where I felt like, and I got that impression too, when I had meetings with my admin people, and they made me know that, yeah, Ijeoma, is like management only cares about lawyers. They're only the ones that get to get increase in their salaries. We'll just talk where we are, almost as if is it because we cannot quantify the kind of value we add to them? Is that why I came in with 50,000 naira and I'm still at 50,000 naira 3 years after? I can go elsewhere where I'm going to be better appreciated. And I know that it gets to you because you're feeling like you're this go-between who should actually step up for employees, and work and get things done for them. But you don't know how to tell them that you can only do so much without being seen as, okay, employee-centric. Not that that's a bad thing as a HR professional, but you get thinking like, okay, how can I make this person stay past beyond the fact that they are efficient and effective at their work or what they do for the firm or the organization, but how can I make them stay so that they can look back and say, oh, we have a HR professional that understands our needs for higher compensation to match prevailing circumstances, inflation and all that jazz, So over time, when you think about whether we like it or not, we like to think of employees. We might not say it to their faces so that they don't feel like, oh, they got us where they need us. But me and you know that we sit down, sometimes we sit at night thinking of how to present data to management to make them see reason. So over time, these things combined, even one, over time can fuel burnout. But what do you do? That's the question, right? For me, I try to avoid this happening in the first place. Work boundaries are very key. Find a way to include boundaries in your work. It's very hard because especially if you share offices with other maybe managers, it might be very hard because people are always budging into your office and walking in to see that other person. So there's this natural assumption that whenever someone comes in, the first step is, are they coming to see me to discuss a HR related matter, that sort of thing. And it can be like you don't have time to even do your job, not to talk of getting other people's jobs done. But it's a struggle, but it's something that we have to find a way around, right? But what I started doing recently, and I've been doing quite a bit, because I feel like employers and even employees take advantage of access to HR in certain organizations. I think that's why most HR professionals act like they don't care, but they do care, but they just feel like, I need a minute to myself. We're having to deal with this aspect of work that is fueling burnout. I need boundaries, both at work and personally. And when I started setting these boundaries, at first it was awkward for me because there's that temptation to want to break them for that person. But it's been very, very helpful. This particular time of staying away, at a different location, right, to record this video, I've had to not pick calls from the employer, my line manager, and employees, to say the least, and it has been very, very restful for me. Because I feel like if there are things that you can also over the phone, you can only send me a text message or WhatsApp message. You don't have to call, and they might not quite understand why you're doing this. Oh, and try to make you feel guilty and tell you, oh, you're a manager and all that. Don't let them suck you in. So, because at the end of the day, you have to please yourself first. This is not about you being disloyal to the organization. Of course not. That's not what I'm proposing. But you need to please yourself first. You need to be able to take care of yourself first. So that when these things pile up, you can be able to take care of yourself and know that now that I know part of my job that can fuel burnout, how do I stop it in its track right before it gets to that point? But let me know what other aspects of work you think can fuel burnout and what you've done or are doing to make sure that you don't get to that point where you have to take care of that burnout, right? But till I come your way next time, my name is still Ijeoma. I'm very active on Instagram and LinkedIn as Ijeoma Ucheibe. Don't forget to follow me. I'm also active on TikTok as Ninja HR Chick. And don't forget, this part is the most important part of this video. Please, 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 please subscribe down below. Link is down below. Please like, please share, please comment. I like to keep this community as interactive as possible. Let me know if this video today was very helpful. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.